And welcome back to The Plank. John Sable alongside former Buccaneer Ian Beckel sitting in for Tom Corn. And Ian, I understand you're going to be doing something new with a podcast. You want to explain to the viewers what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, I was in radio for 12 years in this community and had a good time doing it. And also I'm going to sit out for radio for 6 months, but I'm going to start podcasts. And it's going to start January 11th. It's going to be Flavor of Tampa Bay. And, I'm not going to be pigeonholed to just sports. I'm going to talk about fashion and nutrition and fitness and all kind of things like that. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
And you're a big foodie, too.
I think I kind of love food, yeah.
Like food? Yeah. Like to cook food?
Love everything.
Everything.
Food, yes.
So, Flavor Tampa Bay coming out here in the next couple weeks.
Sure.
Awesome.
Be ready.
All right, this time of the show, it's our time to talk about our Ace social stream. This is where we see people talking about online about the Buccaneers game. Typically, if Bucs wins, we see Jason Light doing the suit swims, but this time, no win. So we're going to take a look at some of these. Two Bears fans and a young Buccaneer fan chilling before Sunday's game. As you can see, the little one wedge between here as two cousins just so happen to be Bears fans. So great to see little kids out there in the game. I know it was a hot one yesterday.
Yeah, I was out there actually. I was out for the tailgate and I actually went home to watch the game because it's too darn hot.
Smart man right here.
No doubt about that.
So this time we're going to talk about the Buccaneers, the loss a little bit more. There's one soundbite that I really liked from yesterday, talking Jonathan Banks and Lovie Smith talking about where this team's progress is. We're going to get to that in a second. But I also want to talk about Jameis Winston's leadership. Yes, he may have struggled yesterday statistically and performance-wise, but after every single loss, I like to see how he is answering the call. Mm-hmm. What does he say? We kind of mentioned from Bruce from Tampa, just mentioned maybe the Florida State issues, and we talked about his maturity there. He brought up where this team would be and how much they've progressed, and I wanted to get some of your input on this soundbite from Jameis Winston after yesterday's loss.
We just got to bounce back. It's NFL. Sometimes this stuff happens. Obviously, we don't want it to happen to us, but it happened. We got to be accountable. And every one of those games, it's our fault. You can pick 2 or 3 plays to say this could have changed the game. And that's what this game comes down to. And that comes in my development as a quarterback, especially today, just making a throw. If you want to be great, if you want to have a great team, you gotta make every single play count.
That may sound like a typical quarterback answer, and it is. But to see a rookie quarterback continuing to grow leadership-wise and answer those type of questions, what is your thought on his leadership? Is it being maybe too overblown, or is it maybe not being mentioned enough?
Well, let me say this about the word leadership, okay? Being in the media, it's used too much, okay? Derek Brooks was one of the best leaders I've ever been around. I never heard him use the word leadership or leader.
That's a good point.
Never.
Okay.
I'm hearing a lot of these Buccaneers saying, I'm a leader, but what are you leading? Okay, we haven't won anything in a long time. A guy like Jameis Winston, what he says in the press, to me, is just talk, okay? When I see Jameis Winston in the locker room and when I see him on the sideline, that's leadership.
And we've seen that, though.
Absolutely.
We've seen him pull players aside after a costly penalty or a costly play and get into their face, not to, rip them apart, but to be there for support and to show that leadership. But continue.
Way back when he was at Florida State, his first game he played, they showed him in the locker room. And one of my boys is a big Florida State fan, and I texted him right away. And I didn't watch him play yet. And I said, this kid's different. Just by the way, it was the first game, and he was leading, and I was looking at his face. And to me, one of the most important things in leadership is just being real with what you're saying, okay? If you're just trying to be a leader, I'm a leader, it becomes out fake. But if you go out there and you're diving for first downs, you do whatever you have to do, and the linemen see what you're doing, that's leadership to me. And those linemen, I've heard Logan Mankins say it, and he played with Tom Brady. I think he knows a little bit about leadership.
I think he does too,
that we're following this kid. I've never seen a kid this early in his career be this good of a leader. Doesn't mean that it's going to equate to wins in the future, but it's a good start.
Well, when you look at Jameis Winston, he did this at Florida State, though.
Yes, he did.
He did at Florida State. I think a lot of people here, maybe regardless if you're a Florida State fan or not, or if you followed the team, or if you knew much about him, you go into training camp, and then rookie OTAs in the spring, and you saw it. And I'm personally surprised as a member of the media to see how much the veterans, you mentioned Logan Mankins, that have come up and have really gravitated towards him. Yeah. Joe Hawley's another one. Other veterans on this team continue to talk about it. Vincent Jackson. They finally found their franchise quarterback.
No doubt.
Now you need to get more pieces around him on the offensive side, but also on the defensive side, which this team has a lot of holes now, especially in the defensive end. And I know you being a guy who knows a lot about that, your thoughts on the D-end position here. You need a pass rush, and these plug-and-play guys here aren't doing it.
We didn't have a good enough pass rush period this year. I mean, if you look at the 15 games we played, I'm not sure we made more than one quarterback uncomfortable all year. And we got shredded by some really bad quarterbacks, even sometimes in wins. So we definitely got to get a better pass rush. And as far as the offense goes, we have a few pieces here and there. I think our offensive line came together really well this year. Okay. We didn't get nearly enough for the tight end position. Just think if Austin Seferian-Jenkins was half as good as people think he is, we'd be a lot better off. Now, with Vincent Jackson, we're a different offense, but Vincent Jackson's getting old now.
Yeah. And I love Vincent Jackson.
Yes.
He's done a lot for the community.
He's getting old, though.
He's getting old.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's going to be a point in time where you're going to have injuries that are going to continue to mount up.
Yeah, and when you have Mike Evans, who's the number one guy, but sometimes doesn't concentrate like a number one guy, okay? He's out there. He's that much better with Vincent Jackson. And, Humphrey's out there and Shepard, they're good football players, but now Humphreys is a 2, but he should be a 3.
Yeah.
And Shepard's a 3, and he should be a 4.
Right.
So we need to find one more guy that could stretch the field. It's been, I don't remember the last time the Buccaneers had a receiver that could catch a slant and go 80 yards. I'm seeing other teams do it. We just never do it.
Well, the interesting thing is, so you have Louis Murphy's out for the year and Vincent Jackson, who probably is not going to play against the Panthers. And you have two guys, and Tom and I have talked about this in the show countless times, Dante Dye and Adam Humphries, two guys who filled in nicely, but they're not reliable enough to consistently be your 2 and 3 wide receivers on this team. And then you have Mike Evans. I'm not even going to get into Mike Evans' struggles with drop balls, but the point is that's another position that this team's going to have to figure out where they're going to go heading into the draft or free agency too.
And what's tough with Lovie Smith is 2 years ago, the Glazers kind of opened up their pocketbook and said, go and get me a bunch of free agents, okay? And they brought in McCown, and they brought in Collins, and they brought in Johnson, and Altron Werner. And if you look at those salaries, it was a substantial amount, and none of those players made us better.
No.
So last year, they said, whoa, let's go the rookie route. So if we go to rookie route again, then we got to wait a whole year for these rookies to become good football
blossom
players.
And to get going.
Yeah.
Jason Light, though, he is a draft guy, though.
Yes.
That's his specialty.
Yes.
We have another phone call here on the plank. This is, I believe, Nina from West Chase. Nina, were you at the game yesterday, or were you watching from the comforts of your home like Ian? And if so, what are your thoughts on the team?
Yes, hi guys. I was at the game yesterday, and I just wanted to ask about the Bucs pass rush defense. Did they apply enough pressure?
Not even close. Not even.
That's a good question, by the way.
I don't think they've applied enough pressure this year. And once again, Gerald McCoy goes to the Pro Bowl every year. Okay. And at my house, I had a bunch of former players there, and everybody's saying, "Well, how did he make the Pro Bowl?" And I'm going to ask you. You're a sports guy. I'm a sports guy. As far as defensive tackles go in the NFC, name me another one other than Donald from the Rams.
Can't.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he makes the Pro Bowl. Because everybody says he's playing great, and he's a nice guy, and he makes the Pro Bowl. Yep. But as far as his play on the field, I'm not seeing it. I see a splash play and a half a game, and that's it.
But you also got to look at this year, though. I mean, he's got a bum shoulder, a bad hand.
Can't wait to talk about that.
Well, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
You want to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about the next segment?
I could talk about it right now if you want.
All right, go for it.
Yeah.
All right, you play with injuries.
Yeah.
You're hurt. You're hurt this time in the year.
Yeah.
You're lineman. You need your shoulder. Obviously, you need your hands.
Yeah.
But that's still not enough, in your opinion?
No, absolutely not. If you're a star and you're a Pro Bowler, everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, Gerald McCoy's playing with a bum shoulder." Nobody ever cared when Ian Beckles was playing with a bum shoulder. Not at any time. Nobody knew me. And what you did, you shot it up and you went out and played, and that's just the way it was. I had Chris Hovan. I was talking to him the other day, and I know Austin Seferian-Jenkins missed a bunch of games for his shoulder. And I said,
we could do a whole show on that.
No doubt. I mean, it's just there's not enough dogs out there anymore. I think what we got paid back in the day and what they're getting paid right now, it's taking the dog out of them.
How much do you think that is because of the new CBA and the lack of contact?
Well, I mean, it's easier to miss a game when you're making $20 million a year. When I was making $90,000 a year, I wouldn't dare miss a game because the guy behind me may overthrow me.
Take your job.
But if you're making $20 million, you got to play.
Well, this brings up to another point. Jonathan Banks, a cornerback for the Buccaneers, almost seems like he'd be in Lovie Smith's doghouse this year. Not drafted by this regime. He was in the old regime beforehand. He had a good response to a question from one of our reporters in the locker room yesterday. Where is this team at right now? Would you be surprised at where this team is with all the talent and the progression? And then Lovie Smith came up and answered that same question. Here's both of their thoughts.
I thought we would be a lot better than what we are right now. I just think, I don't know, we were playing really good for 4 or 5 games, and we just started we just going in reverse. We just got to pick it up and come out next week and finish strong.
We're not going to talk about our wins that we had before. We're just going to talk about this loss. That's disappointing because we're a lot better football team than that. But what it says about our team is that if you turn the ball over like that and you make a couple critical mistakes on the other end, you have an outcome like that. Let's not group it all together. This is a better football team. Today, we didn't play our best ball.
I know you're chomping at the bit to answer that and get a response, but we're going to have to go to break, and we're going to get Ian's thoughts in just a moment. We'll be right back.